Miss Lulu.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on the MundoREGGAE show.
It is my pleasure. You can see my smile. I'm super happy to connect with you, with your team, to talk a little bit about your history, your album, your stage experience already, and all your love for reggae music that is so obvious in your talented voice.
Give thanks.
How did you started getting interested, and at what age you remember being conscious about what is reggae music?
My dad grew up in a place where like there was a lot of reggae, and so he naturally heard it and he liked it, and so he passed it on to me. He's had a life of like playing music, listening to music, digging out like good music, and so he decided to impart like all that wisdom on me, and then I kind of just took it and took off.
What is your age right now, Kailash?
I'm 12 years old, turning 13 this year.
Turning 13 this year, we're talking about 2024, and your first single, if I'm not wrong, came officially in 2020. Before that, you were already touching souls around the globe on the internet with renditions of traditional reggae music. What year was your first video that you recorded? Was intentionally to share it with the world, or you were just chilling and enjoying your talent?
I honestly don't know how it came about. I think I had played I'd been playing like piano for a long, like playing piano and singing for a bit of time before the first video, but then we posted it, and then somehow it just became like decided that was a thing I wanted to pursue, so we made more and more of those videos, and then eventually I ended up like branching out and writing my own songs.
What was the dynamic to choose what song to record and for you to learn it?
I mean, as for choosing a song, I mean, as long as it sounds good and as long as it like isn't about anything like either in like as long as it contains like spiritual cultural content, and as long as it sounds good, it's like that song is good. As to learning them, it didn't like learning songs doesn't really come hard for me. Like I'll just be able to hear a song and then play it. Like it's not really difficult for me.
You have a good ear for music.
I would say I inherited that from my dad.
What year you started studying piano?
I started taking lessons at 3 years old. I got my first toy keyboard at 2, and shortly after, again, we realized that was something that like I should do and I wanted to do, so we ended up pursuing it.
Do you have a favorite keyboard or piano?
I don't have a favorite, but I can definitely name some really iconic ones. Like Casio MT40, which was responsible for the Slang Tang rhythm in 1985. I know King Jammy recorded Slang Tang with the MT40. He also used like either an MT60, 65, or 100 on tracks like E20, and I know one more on the Wayne Smith Slang Tang album. But he used various other Casio keyboards, and I know that this isn't a keyboard, but they're there has also been that like a drum sound, the electronic drum sound that Sly Dunbar used that made his music very iconic. It's interesting how like a lot of the things that made those little bits of reggae iconic were like just like toys. Well, not the electronic drum, but for Slang Tang, that came like straight out of a children's keyboard.
Right, it totally feels from the size and the sounds like a MT4 is a toy that we've seen you enjoying in some of your videos right before your first single. I hear on you a passion for the knowledge and the history, a respect for the music that you are representing, reggae music. And I've seen you. Yes?
You gotta study your roots. Like you can't say, in my opinion, you can't say you know reggae and not know some of the basic roots. And that's what I've been trying to achieve.
The roots and the elements around reggae culture. I was just watching a video the other day of yourself. I think it was the Cali Vibes festival that you were actually selecting for yourself in certain moment too.
Yeah, we went, that was the Boomyard stage at Cali Vibes. We went through at home, like we picked the set list, and we wanted to pick like all the nice foundation tunes that we could represent at the stage. And yeah, I just wanted to like reflect a more roots reggae style at that show.
You've been representing that and different styles of reggae music from the Black Tears Rhythm 2020, which, if I'm not wrong, that seems so strange to me, was your first official single?
Yes, it was.
It was pretty impacting for me when I first hear in the rhythm and hear the song, to hear your version in there and hear the message taking and talking about police brutality. Not only we hear you talking consciously about the roots and culture of reggae music, but also of social issues at a young 9-10 years old age. How do you create your lyrics for your music?
At that point, I would like sit down with my dad, since at that time, and not saying that this isn't true now, but like he's the one with all the like experience and knowledge of like the ways of life. And so we'd sit down and like we'd songwrite together, and we'd go through ideas and bounce ideas off of each other, until we came to a song that I feel like reflected my passion, because I've also like felt a passion to want to be a part of the protest movement, ever since like all the stuff that you heard about, like people protesting in the streets and like police officers like tear gassing and shooting rubber bullets like to try and break up the riots and everything. And it was just a bizarre situation, and I felt like I wanted to be part of that protest. But I mean, I was 9 years old. It's not like I could like go out there with a sign and start marching. So yeah, my parents told me that I should write a song to reflect my passion and my beliefs. So I did.
That's what you did, and you did it nice and properly. After that came another crucial rhythm, the Niners rhythm with Njai Sai Rock, talking about your spiritual beliefs too. What can you tell me about the creating that song?
Pretty much the same thing. We sat down, bounced ideas off each other. This time, I feel like I was like, my dad and I were doing a lot of things that reflect like that had to do with like spirituality and culture, and I wanted to reflect that in a song. I feel like if there's anything worthwhile to reflect in a song, you reflect it in a song, and it's gonna sound nice.
It sounds super nice. One of my favorite versions of that rhythm, really too. We've seen you sharing stage with Don Carlos for a couple years already. How's from the first moment that experience, or was around that your first experiences on stage?
Yeah, that actually was. And it was a bizarre moment too, because I didn't know, like that wasn't pre-planned out that Don was gonna call me up on stage to sing with him. I had no idea that that was gonna happen, but then I heard my name like through the microphone and through the speakers. I'm like, he wants me to go up there and sing with him? Like him? Really? But yeah, it was a really surreal moment.
Do you remember just jumping on the stage, being nervous? You were confident of what you were doing on the surprise?
Even in like surprising like events like those, I don't really like find myself getting nervous. And I honestly don't know why. I just don't feel like that's a nerve-wracking thing. At most, like if anything, it was really exciting, and I feel like I should embrace every moment of that event and not like be worrying about like being nervous.
What about your album? It's 2024, 1st of December 2023. We got the pleasure to hear your first full project called Across the Ocean. From the creation to the choosing of the title, how can you describe us this first project of yours?
This one, it definitely like it took some time. I will say it definitely took a lot of time, because some of the songs on the album we had started like years before, and then, well, there was a time when we were like really invested in songwriting and we wanted to write a bunch of songs, and then that moment with Dawn came, and from then it was like we were all getting all invested in the show business and like doing certain shows and tours, and then we kind of went back to the songwriting part of the business, and we went back and like finished up some more songs, and finalized everything, and then went into the studio to record it. And something I find worth mentioning is that I sung vocals, obviously, but I also played the keyboards, and I arranged pretty much all the instrumentation, from like the drum beats and the bass lines. Like I said, I wrote and played all the keyboard parts. I had a hand in the guitar parts and the percussion. Yeah, I feel like I like having that creative autonomy over the music, and it's not like I'll just like be singing something and then leave it off in the hands of another producer to do whatever they want with it. Like I have a musical vision, and I want to see that through.
That is amazing. Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one that keeps getting surprised and amazed by your talent and how responsible you are about what are you doing, how involved you are. And I think that is something that plenty in this industry get to learn from you and your team, the proper way to do things. With Across the Ocean, you have 8 tracks. If we have to start saying how the decision to name it Across the Ocean came, what would you say? What Across the Ocean means to you?
It means many different things. It could mean like the actual journey across the ocean back to Africa, which is a theme that you see a lot in reggae. It could be like the soul's journey through life to reach enlightenment, like the soul's journey through the ocean of life to get to the other side, which is the realization, the enlightenment. It can mean many different things. It all comes down to interpretation.
Do you have a favorite track in this album?
I don't really play favorites, but if I had to choose one, I don't know. I'd probably go with King David. It's kind of a blend of like, it takes the rocker's beat, puts a little spin on it. It takes like a unusual groovy bass line. It has some jazz elements in there, like the guitar solo. And it just, I feel like overall is a nice blend of like a bunch of different styles, while keeping reggae as the main genre of the song. And an interesting bit about that song is that it's not like I wrote the rhythm by accident, but like I was just kind of fooling around with GarageBand on my iPad, and I was playing it offhandedly one time, just listening to it, and my dad, he hears it and he just really liked what he heard, and so he advised me to do something with that. But if he hadn't heard it, that song probably wouldn't be on the album.
Good catch once again from your dad to make you do that reading.
Give thanks and praises to Jah Rastafari. Give thanks and praises to the Almighty. Give thanks and praises to Jah Rastafari. Give thanks and praises to the Almighty.
What you give thanks for daily and in your life, Kailash?
I give thanks for the fact that like I'm alive and healthy and like strong enough to spread Jah's message throughout the world in song, and I give thanks for the fact that like I'm able to do this music. I give thanks for the fact that I'm able to like hang out with friends and do like read books, like be able to like do a bunch of stuff on the side. And I'm grateful that I have like I can be the musician, but it's not like I can hang out with like my friends on the block. We will like ride bikes around town and all that stuff. It's not like I'm just isolated from the world in a room. Like I can still have a normal life. So I give thanks for all of that. And I give thanks to my parents and all my teachers for teaching me everything that I know and helping me along the way. I mean, I could probably give thanks to 100 other things right now.
I also give thanks to your parents and to your teachers and the whole team around you for supporting your talent and letting you share it with the world from such a young age, and also allowing you to, like you say, keep this real life going also while you build a profession from being a teenager. almost across the ocean. It's been on rotation on the MundoREGGAE show. Your voice has been in rotation on the MundoREGGAE show from day one, and I'm looking forward to discover the future of Kailash. We're gonna keep an eye on you, definitely. You started this year with some shows on festivals. What are your plans for the rest of the year when it comes to music?
I have a show tomorrow, actually. Isn't
Nice.
it tomorrow? In the Mojave Desert. I'm playing with the band of the keyboard player for Julian Marley. I'm playing with his band, and I get to guest on his set and do like a few songs, just sing a few songs. And then later in the year, I'm actually scheduled to be opening up the main stage at the Reggae on the River festival, which is something that I'm really excited about. And if anyone who's listening to this chooses to go, it'll be a sight to see. We're like putting in the work to make a really, really exciting performance for all of you. So yeah, don't miss out.
Don't miss out. You hear it on your MundoREGGAE show. I'm gonna try and catch all the videos and live possibles if I'm not able to make it there. From Hawaii to San Francisco and the world, I know people is watching your steps and enjoying your music and your talent. You just mentioned earlier you don't play favorites when it comes about songs, but what if I ask you your favorite style on reggae music? Do you have one?
Yes. Well, anything from the what I call the golden era of reggae, which I would say it's like from the middle of the 70s going through to the mid 80s. I especially enjoy like the early 80s, like Henry Junjo Law's, Linval Thompson, Roots Radix productions. But even going as far as the mid 1960s with the like Foundation, Studio One, Rocksteady, pretty much all of that stuff is pure gold.
The real golden era you enjoy. What about producers? Do you have a favorite producer or somebody that inspired you to get involved in that area of your music?
Like I just named, Henry Junjo Laws, Linval Thompson. Also, I know Gregory Isaacs, Dennis Brown, and Sugar Minot are all singers and producers. I could name Don Mize and a bunch of other people. And basically, in my mind, anyone that used the Roots Radix really can't go wrong. If you're a producer and you're using the Roots Radix as your house band, you're probably gonna have a hit on your hands.
Talking about the influence of your dad, something that I think you will want to ask you. Have you have a conversation with your dad? When was the moment that he realized that there was a talent to support on you? You started studying piano or keyboard at 3 years old. Was that the moment that also your voice talent came out and pop out to your dad's ears?
It was, I don't remember back, like this far back, but my dad will always tell the story of when I was 2. And I was telling you about the Casio keyboard. My dad had Bob Marley's Soul Rebel playing on the stereo, and he looked up the chords to play on piano, and he showed me using the keyboard, and apparently I kind of just like took his place and started playing the chords. And that was the moment when my dad was like, wow, there's something here.
More success like the one you have been having, Kailash. Looking forward for real to the bright future that awaits for your music.
Give thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with the audience of the MundoREGGAE show in Mexico, in Hawaii, San Francisco, or anywhere this audience is watching and learning a little more of your history. Thank you for trusting this space to let us know you a little bit more.
And thank you for letting me on your show. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It is totally my pleasure to let the people know a little more about this super talented youth that we all been impressed through a few years already. Looking forward for more from your music. We're gonna keep on touch, so you're welcome anytime to come back up and talk about any of your projects and your experiences around the stages.
All right, thank you. Just to let you know, there is more music coming up soon, and after the release of the album, we're already in the vaults cooking up some more spicy bangers for everyone to enjoy and listen to. So give thanks and job bless.
Awesome. We're gonna be waiting anxiously and patiently for those tracks. Give thanks to your dad, give thanks to your mom again and all your team, and to yourself for sharing your talent and such a big words in your music.
Give thanks.
Welcome anytime, Kailash.
God bless.